friends who are on the Zoom, welcome. We're glad that you're here in the house of God. New church, good news in the neighborhood. This is our 5th Sunday, and my wife Kristen, who's usually leading the kids, is right here in the service today. We got there's a service right now. Then as soon as we're done, we're going to go outside, and there's like I think 10 people that are going to get baptized, and so it's going to be amazing. And then there's another service of people coming in. And I've been receiving all your messages, those of you who have been here complaining that it's been too cold in the room, and so I didn't do it, but I guess there's a little judgment coming upon you for that complaining. It feels a little warm to me, but we're here. We're here. And do I sound okay to everybody? It sounds a little weird to me, but if you can hear me, we're great. Okay, we have praised the Lord together in such a wonderful way this morning about this one simple idea, and this one simple idea is all the ideas. Is wrapped up into this one simple idea, and it's this. Do you believe that Jesus Christ, a man who lived 2,000 years ago, was killed on a Friday, and on Sunday when they went to see him, he was not there, he was alive? If you were to kind of sift down all of who you are as a person, whether you acknowledge it, accept it, or not, your answer to that question is the single most important thing about you is, do you believe that the man Jesus Christ proved that he was the God Jesus Christ when he was alive on that third day? And the thing is, you have to believe it by faith, because we don't have like scientific, incontrovertible proof. As the kids would say, you know what the kids would say, pick or it didn't happen. It's the idea that's out there, which is like you tell a story about some amazing thing that went on, and in the world of social media, and everyone always has a phone in their hand, the inevitable thing is, well, do you got a picture of that thing? Because if you don't, then, it probably didn't happen. Pick or it didn't happen. That's the title of this message. And it got me thinking, and we're going to the book of John, chapter 12. You can turn there. Pick or it didn't happen. 2 years ago, I was up late last night watching the Final Four basketball game, and my favorite team was playing, and there's somebody who's in the room who I said, if my team loses, you might have to preach in the morning. And he texted me right when the game ended because my team won, and he said, don't, it's a Easter miracle. You're up. I love sports. A couple years ago, I had the privilege of going to the Masters, which is whatever is going on with white dudes. The Masters is our spot. It's like the white dude place of white dude places. And I was there 2 years ago when Tiger Woods won the Masters after 10 years of not winning. This is a picture of it. Okay. Well, okay. See, there is a picture, and I'm in the picture, but you can't see the picture. And so right now you're like trying to figure out, so was there a problem in the sound booth, or is this an illustration? What kind of web of deception and confusion is this preacher weaving? 2 years ago, Tiger Woods won the Masters, and then last year, this TV show, Tiger King, won the first month of the quarantine. Anybody want to be honest enough in church to say that they got sucked into that thing? Anybody? Yeah, I'm sure the rest of y'all reading your Bible. I know, yeah. And then a couple of weeks ago, I guess a couple months ago, Tiger Woods, Tiger King, Tiger Woods, was in this car accident, and it was like only a couple of miles from where Chris and I used to live in California, and I've driven this road, and this picture comes up on your screen of this mangled car. Now are we saying that we have all the pictures? Is that what you're telling me? Okay, cool. So that's the picture of Tiger Woods' car. And you see this, there's something about an image that leaves a mark on you, you know? They say that a turning point in the fight for life and when does life begin was as technology advanced. And when you go to the doctor and you can see an ultrasound of a very brand new baby, there was something about as it became not just an idea, but a picture that people said, well, that's a human being right there. There's something about the picture that leaves a mark. Do we agree? Just keep that in your mind now as we look at the book of John. This is Jesus Christ is talking. This are Jesus Christ's last recorded words before he goes into the last stage of his life. In John chapter 12, Jesus says this. He says, starting in verse 27, I hope you look with me. He says, "Now is my soul troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? But for this purpose I have come to this hour. Father, glorify your name." Then a voice came from heaven. "I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again." The crowd that stood there and heard it said that it had thundered. Others said, "An angel has spoken to him." Jesus answered, "This voice has come for your sake, not mine. Now is the judgment of this world. Now will the ruler of this world be cast out. And when I," Jesus said, "am lifted up from the earth, will draw all people to myself." He said this to show by what kind of death he was going to die. So the crowd answered him, "We have heard from the law that the Christ remains forever. How can you say that the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man?" So Jesus said to them, "The light is among you for a little while longer. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. The one who walks in the darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of light." I'll give you the big conclusion now, just in case Jesus decides to come back between now and the end. I want you to know where I was going. The picture that proves the resurrection is you and me. The picture that proves the resurrection isn't a photograph taken of an empty tomb. The picture that proves the resurrection isn't somehow, some way that we got a videotape and some like the smoke or a ghost and you can see somehow the body coming out. No, the picture is that for 2,000 years, people have believed the story of Jesus. People have gone to the grave saying, "Oh no, for sure, he rose again." People have believed it to their own detriment and death. The picture that proves that Jesus is alive is that people continue to believe him, in him, no matter what. So let's look at this passage. I think it has 5 significant things for you. The first one is this. Even Jesus found his path daunting. So can you. I'll be honest and say that a lot of the road that we've walked over the last year as a people together has been a pretty daunting, a pretty difficult, a pretty complicated road. Whether it was the trying to pretend that kids can learn well on Zoom thing, or the how many more days do we need to stay at home. I was in California when they closed the beaches because it wasn't safe. It just seemed like a really confusing thing to do, like what you don't want us to go where there's the most space. I don't get it. All of the political infighting, all of the people that you know, you meet people every day who had their businesses had the best year it's ever had, and then you meet other people, their businesses falling apart and collapsing, and we're arguing about what the government should do. And anybody just willing to say it's been a pretty daunting road? It's been confusing and difficult. And sometimes church people can give you the impression that you're doing something wrong, that it feels kind of difficult. Even Jesus, do you see what he says here? Jesus says, starting in verse 27, he says, "My soul is troubled." That idea in the original language is like, even to the point of, I'm not sure I can keep going. And he says, so my soul's troubled, but what shall I say? Shall I say, "Father, save me from this hour"? But for this purpose, he says, I've come to this hour. So Jesus Christ is approaching the cross. Jesus Christ, fully God, also fully man. It's what makes some of the things he says so interesting and confusing, because he is a human being who has human emotions, human experiences, human appetites, human frustrations, but without sin. Yet he's also God. And so he's approaching. Just imagine knowing that what he was about to endure, being killed in public, being beaten and scorned, bearing the weight of the sins of the world, was coming down his path. He could see it coming on the calendar. And he says, so, you see it in the Bible? He says, well, what am I going to say? "Father, save me"? Well, I can't really say that, because I kind of came here to do the whole thing. This is what I came to do, is to die for the sins of the world. So I can't really back out now, but I don't really want to have to do it either. It's interesting how that can happen. Sometimes athletes get to the moment and they don't exactly want to play the game, even though it's what they've been training for their whole lives. Sometimes brides and grooms get cold feet at the very last second, even though they've been waiting for it for such a long time. So often, the time period right before and right after a baby is born is so traumatic emotionally for a woman. Well, why? Because even though it's something that you want, and even though it's something that in most cases you've been waiting for and hoping on, there's so much tied up in it that you're like, well, right, but it's like I have to do it, but I don't want to do it, but I need to do it, but I'm not sure I can do it. Jesus Christ had those same feelings. What if we just for a minute normalized for each other the fact that life is difficult?
So again, it's a
There's a tough road
spiritual
that each of us have to walk.
as where she
It's
said,
easy
all
to think
these
that
other
somebody else is
characters
walking
that
an
just
easier
walk
road than you are. Trust me, they think you're walking an easier road than
I'll
they
give you
have. We all have the difficulty of the path that God has chosen for us to walk. And it's okay to say it's a little bit difficult. You're not disappointing the God of the universe by saying, I'm not sure I can keep doing it. Even the God of the universe said, I'm not sure that I can do it. Even Jesus found his path daunting. So can you. Next, look at how the text continues. Now from the middle of verse 28. So this voice comes from heaven. So when you're reading the story the first time, you're like, oh, Jesus is discouraged. So now a voice comes from heaven, and the voice says, I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again. The point being that God speaking from heaven is making sure everybody is kind of like knowing this is Jesus. This is the Son of God. And the crowd that stood there and heard it, which I always like this part. I don't know about you. I find it frustrating how difficult we as people find it to get along about basically anything anymore. Like, try to think of something that everyone agrees on. And that can feel like a really now thing. But even look at this. A voice speaks from heaven. So who thinks that if a voice speaks from heaven, God has the capacity with like the sound system and the acoustics and the tone so that everyone can hear it clearly? Like, we think God is capable. If he's going to be speaking out of heaven for people to hear, he probably made it clear that it was a voice speaking out of heaven, right? Do we agree? That seems fair to say. Yeah, look,
John
the crowd
13,
says
14,
some
15,
people,
and 16,
they're
and then
like,
also 17
taking
are
us thunder.
some of my favorite chapters in the Bible. John 13 being the Last Supper, 17 being the prayer in
A
the
voice,
garden.
I'm just reading the Bible to you. A voice came from heaven saying, I have glorified it,
To his
and I will
disciples
glorify it again.
before the crucifixion
Just
and
out of the
resurrection.
crowd.
And I
There's that,
think
like,
part
those
of the
people,
things he's
there's always
talking about are
those
about the
people.
second
They're like,
coming. Part of the things he's talking about are actually the 3 days. Because he says, I'm going away, coming back.
think it's on.
And yet the says to him, I'm telling you this before it happens. And then when it happens, you will believe. Well, there's no one's going to have trouble believing at the second
Jesus' friends.
coming. Not even atheists. They're going to believe every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. But in John 13, there's a scripture that's very, very meaningful to me.
Thundered. Some people said it was an angel.
For years,
Jesus answered, I love this. He's like, just
people
so
would
we're clear,
come
he
and they
says,
interviewed us at Gateway.
this
They asked
voice
about,
has come
they asked my
for your
team
sake,
about
not for
me,
mine.
and they say,
Jesus is making
tell
it
us
clear.
some things
I
about
know,
Pastor
like, I
Robert
don't
about
really
his
want to
leadership.
go to the
And here's
cross,
what
but
my
I'm going to
team
go
has
to the
said
cross.
for years. And they
And now
say
this
he's
voice has come to kind of like just punctuate the moment that this is real. And so just so we're clear,
so
you need to be reminded. I
You
don't need to be reminded. You need to be reminded. I don't need to be reminded.
Well,
We all need to be reminded sometimes.
I look to the Lord.
Jesus Christ is real.
For me,
Jesus Christ is
always
alive.
it has to be
This
a
thing that we're
word.
doing isn't like a
So the word took
ritual.
me
It
to
isn't a
13,
charade. It isn't
where Jesus
for any
washed
other
disciples'
purpose
feet.
than
But it
this
says something that I think a lot of people
the
read
truth.
over.
But
It
we all
says,
need to
first
be
of all,
reminded
Jesus
from
knowing
time to
Judas was
time.
going to betray him.
Do we agree?
That was one
We
thing.
all need to be reminded from time to time. And this voice coming out of heaven is a reminder. And so the enthusiasm in the singing today, the people that we're going to baptize outside, the energy that you can feel in this room right now, you wake up on a sunny Easter and it's like, yeah, is all supposed to be. Maybe you've known the story of what Jesus did for 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 years. Maybe you've known it for that long, but yet you need to be reminded again today, back to those first things, that it is true and Jesus Christ is really, completely, and totally alive. But there's nothing wrong with needing to be reminded every so often. Even Jesus' friends needed to be reminded. So can you. So the text continues, verse 31. We got 3 more of these. So then it keeps going along. Now in verse 31, Jesus says, so this is the judgment of this world. The ruler of this world will be cast out, and when I'm lifted up, I will draw all people to myself. Jesus says a couple important things here. In the book of John, just a little bit of teaching for you. In the book of John, you'll see the word world over and over and over and over if you read it. And the word world in the book of John can mean three things. It can be talking about the globe. It can be talking about the people. Or it can be talking about the system.
The Holy Spirit coming and all that.
It can be about the globe or the people or the system. Here's why this is important. When it says in like John 3:16, the most famous verse in the Bible, when it says, "For God so loved the world," was it talking about the sphere, planet? Was it talking about the system? No, what was it talking about? The people. So just with that in mind for 1 second. So now is the judgment of this world. So when it says, Jesus says here, I'm about to judge this world, is he talking about the globe? Is he talking about the people? Or is he talking about the system? You want to vote and then we can all argue? I'm going to tell you that he's partially talking about all those, but I believe most purposely he's talking about the system. Now is the judgment of the system. This is the ruler of this, see it again. Now will the ruler of this system be cast out. Because here's why. When I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw all people to myself. You got to imagine the first people that were hearing Jesus say this were Jewish people who lived in a religion that was organized around their ethnicity. There was the Jewish people who believed in the God of the Old Testament, and they were all going to heaven, and everybody else was going to hell. And Jesus here, and he's doing it over and over, if you take the time to notice it, he's pulling open the doors to say, I didn't come just for my people. I came for, do you see it? It's right there in the verse. I came for all the people. And for 2,000 years since then, various groups of people have been trying to build walls back up between each other. Religious sects break out. Sects. Whoa. S-E-C-T-S. It's okay. I know there's kids somewhere in the room. Religious sects break out. The denominations form across all kinds of lines. People are constantly, aren't they, in the process of dividing themselves on religious lines, saying, over here are the good people, and over there are the bad people. Over here are the saved people. Over there are the heathen people. Over here are the righteous people. Over there are the evil people. When Jesus Christ came to this earth, died on the cross, and rose again, he broke down, Ephesians says, the dividing wall between all people. Jesus Christ didn't come for some of the people or for some of the time. He came for all of the people and all of the time. And every place, this is one of the things that we're trying really hard to do at Good News in the Neighborhood, is to be a place that is for all kinds of people. You can be old and be part of this church, and we're so glad you're here. You can be young and be part of this church, and we're so glad you're here. You can be black or white or Asian or Hispanic. You can be rich or poor. You can be something that I couldn't even think of or to say right now. You can be any kind of person and be part of what we're doing here because, am I prone as the pastor to draw lines? Well, sure, we all are. Do I have some like perfect, refined ability to like all people equally? No. But it's because the church must be the place more than any other place that is for all kinds of people. Do you agree in the house of God today? That the church must be the place more than any other place that is for all kinds of people. That doesn't mean that everybody is going or that Jesus Christ isn't the only way. No. But what it means is that Jesus Christ, right here, even at the cross, Jesus wants good for everyone. So can you. Jesus Christ is for anybody. He's not for everybody. There are people that choose themselves and don't receive eternal life. This isn't building towards a message of it doesn't matter the choices that you make. It doesn't matter. You don't have to believe in Jesus. It's not. No, there is an only way, and Jesus is the only way. It's just that nobody gets opted in or opted out to the only way because of the color of their skin or how much money their parents had or what kind of education they have. Jesus Christ is for anybody. And so we were out yesterday with the truck. Passing out like
No, honey, I'm watching the TV, the service.
We were all over the place.
I'm watching the service.
And what's really fun is people are used to everything good coming with something else, right?
What's your problem?
By the middle of the day yesterday, I was leading with,
What's your
you're not
problem?
selling anything. Which, in almost any other context, what does that mean? Yeah, hey, I want you to come to this party at my
I told
house.
you I would have gotten breakfast. I'd like to have a good breakfast. But you're going to do
our
this.
friendship is over
Well,
if you
I'm
want to buy one of them.
oh,
I got these
baloney, you
oils.
don't.
It's just this product changed my life, is what it is. It's just this. We were giving out ice cream all day yesterday and donuts and meeting people. And you should see it on people's face. They're like, Christian church, but like, it's okay that I'm whatever. Totally. We're not here just to be good for some people. We're here to be good for all the people because Jesus wasn't good for some of the people. Jesus Christ is good for all the people who choose to accept and believe on his name. 2 more. The text continues. So, I lost my place here. The text continues, and it says, so the crowd answered him. Because when Jesus says, I'm going to draw all people to myself, it says, verse 33, he's saying this to show like what kind of death he's going to die. The idea is probably that he lifted his arms out. When he said all, he was saying like all. Lifting out his arms, kind of symbolizing that he was about to go to the cross. And so the people then, it says, answered him. The crowd answered Jesus Christ and said, so we've heard from the law, that was their system, that the Christ remains forever. So how can you say that the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? They're basically saying, pick or it didn't happen. They're saying, so we were taught that when the Messiah comes, that the Messiah is in charge forever. But you're saying that you're going to die, so which is it? It's amazing how, even at the beginning, people were trying to conform Jesus into their own expectations and desires, not who he explicitly over and over and over said that he was coming to be. Even after all they had seen, this is the 4th thing, some people still rejected Jesus. And so can you. The people that were standing there when Jesus was talking were people that had seen, this is John chapter 12, just in John chapter 11, like the last chapter, they saw Jesus raise one of his closest friends who had been dead for 4 days from the dead. These were people that had seen him heal the blind. These were people that had seen him heal the sick, feed 5,000 people. Many of these people had seen Jesus Christ do miracle after miracle after miracle after miracle after amazing thing after amazing thing after amazing thing after amazing thing after amazing thing. And still they're standing there like, right, okay, yeah. But you're saying you're going to die, but like it was my understanding that you were going to reign on the throne. And it's like, well, where did you get at that understanding? It's like, well, it was my understanding. And the same can happen for you. If you've been following Jesus for a bit, which I'm sure there's lots of people here who have, you've seen him heal a marriage. You've seen him bring someone back from the brink of despair. You've seen someone pull someone out of addiction. You've seen him heal wounds in you thought could never be healed. You've seen him do things, and you can still stand there in judgment over the Son of God and say, right, but what are you going to do for me this time? Right, but right. You kind of want me to keep doing that, don't you? Right, but. And I wonder today, have you chosen, even after all the things that you've seen Jesus do, have you still chosen to reject him? The people said to him, okay, fine, but what we thought was going to happen was that you were going to be like a king who was in charge. It's interesting to note, because it never stops happening, that people always seem to assume that religious authority must come with it political power. The Son of God could have come from the highest family in the biggest legacy of thrones. He chose to come as a poor man from a not important town to illustrate for us, like I was saying a second ago, that he isn't for people from the right side of the tracks. He's for, again, all the people. But people still have this way of trying to conform him into, well, no, what Jesus wants for me is to have more power. Jesus wants me to have more pleasure. Jesus wants me to have more something. Even after all the things that these people had seen, they still chose to reject Jesus Christ. They wanted Jesus, watch out for this, but they wanted him on their own terms. I wonder, could the same be said of you? I like the part where he brings peace that passes understanding. I hate the part where all of a sudden I'm supposed to what? Give some of my money to it? The guy's not even wearing socks. I'm supposed to give my money to a church? People, they like the part, we like the part where my kids disappear for an hour and seem happy when they're back. Don't like the part when he starts talking about sin. We all often can kind of hold this like idol over here. Some people like to pet it like a cat almost. This is how I hate cats, but is this how you do it? You kind of. Many people want Jesus Christ, but they want him on their own terms. He doesn't do it that way. You accept all of him or you get nothing at all. So do you see what he says in response? So they answered him, we've heard from the law that the Christ remains forever. How can you say that the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? They're saying, it's not you, so prove it, is the idea. And these are the last verses and my last point. Stick with me here. So Jesus said to them, the light is among you for a little while longer. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you, because the one who walks in the darkness does not know where he is going. Can I just pause for, have you ever heard a better description of what it's like to be living a life in sin, if now you're living a life in the light? Have you ever heard a better description of what life is like before you know Jesus, that the one who walks in the darkness doesn't know where he's going? Verse 36, while you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of light. It's really simple. Those three phrases is everything I came to say today to you. While you have the light, it implies time, doesn't it? While you have the light is like time is short. You don't know how many more times you're going to get into church. You don't know how many more times you're going to hear his voice. You don't know how many more times God is going to open you up to listen to him. You don't know how long you have while you have the light. And then the second part, believe in the light. Now, believe is an interesting word because believe means more than just emotion. Lots of people have been to Christian-type events where you get overtaken with emotion and you commit to something, but you don't even really know what it is. But believe is more than just in your mind. You can intellectually believe that Jesus is probably alive and still not be believing. See the difference? Believe is this intersection, I said this the other night if you were here, is this amazing little intersection of your mind and your emotions and your will all come together to say, yeah, I believe. Yeah, I believe. He says, while you have the light, believe in the light, third part, that you may become sons of light. Even today, time is short. I'm choosing Jesus, and so can you. I wonder, have you ever genuinely come to a place of believing in Jesus Christ? It's really easy, and we're almost done. It's really easy to get into what I would call like Jesus-adjacent activities. It's really easy to listen to Christian music and not really know Jesus. It's really easy to like your kids to be around people who believe in Jesus because they're not as crazy sometimes. It's really easy to like being prayed for. It's really easy to kind of be like, yeah, I got a lot of friends at church. All those things are easy. All those things are easy. All those things are easy. I'm not asking you to do any of those things today. I'm saying, do you believe? Do you believe? Do you believe? I'm going to keep getting louder until you say yes. Do you believe? Do you believe? Do you believe? What I'm trying to say, I was kind of joking, but thank you guys for responding. I'm going to say to you, do you believe? Because Jesus says you don't know how long you have. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to try to hopefully, as a friend, tell you the truth. That if you don't believe in Jesus Christ and you die today, you do not have eternal life. And it doesn't matter how many people who know you want you to believe. If you don't believe, you don't have eternal life. We're about to go outside and there's a bunch of people that are going to get baptized. And that's what they're saying. They're saying, I believe and I want everybody to know. And so I want to give you a chance today to make a choice to believe. So you can feel it now. You can feel it. We're a cynical generation. The music's starting. And he's coming in for the finish, obviously. And it's a new church, so the stage is loud, and no matter how quiet they try to be, it sounds like everybody's pounding around. I'm not trying to create a moment. I am asking the Holy Spirit, who fueled the risen Christ, to invade this room right now, to puncture your hard, sinful heart, and allow you to make a choice that God has been weaving your whole life towards right now. So I wonder, do you believe? Do you believe that he came and he died and then he rose? And he's alive right this very second, as alive as you and me are. He is alive. Because the reason that you don't need like a picture of a real empty tomb from 2,000 years ago is to believe, is you can see the people all around you that believe. Just look around the room for 1 second. Look at all the people nodding like I am talking about the very most important thing in all the universe right now. The reason why they're acting that way is because it is that way. So I wonder, do you believe? If you believe, I want to ask you right now to respond. Would you bow your head now?